Anyone?
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. I can hear you.
Okay, alhamdulillah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. نويت التعلم والتعليم والتذكر والتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة على التمسك بكتاب الله وبسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والدعاء على الهدى والدلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله. Welcome to all of you to this course, inshallah ta'ala. We'll begin today in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and go on this journey together with the Qur'an, inshallah ta'ala, and see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has in store for us. Bismillah. So let's start, inshallah, with a short recitation of one of the earliest surahs which was revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exhorts the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with regards to the recitation of the Qur'an, which was one of the earliest surahs, Surah Al-Muzammil. So let's just أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها المزمل قم الليل إلا قليلا نصفه أو انقص منه قليلا أو زد عليه ورتل القرآن ترتيلا إنا سنلقي عليك قولا ثقيلا إن ناشئة الليل هي أشد وطئا وأقوم قيلا إن لك في النهار سبحا طويلا واذكر اسم ربك وتبتل إليه تبتيلا رب المشرق والمغرب لا إله إلا هو فاتخذه وكيلا واصبر على ما يقولون واهجرهم هجرا جميلا وذرني والمكذبين أولي النعمة ومهلهم قليلا إن لدينا أنكالا وجحيما وطعاما ذا غصة وعذابا أليما يوم ترجف الأرض والجبال وكانت الجبال كثيبا مهيلا إنا أرسلنا إليكم رسولا شاهدا عليكم كما أرسلنا إلى فرعون رسولا فعصى فرعون الرسول فأخذناه أخذا وبيلا فكيف تتقون إن كفرتم يوما يجعل الولدان شيبا السماء منفطر به كان وعده مفعولا إن هذه تذكرة فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه سبيلا إن ربك يعلم أنك تقوم أدنى من ثلثي الليل ونصفه وثلثه وطائفة من الذين معك والله يقدر الليل والنهار علم أن لن تحصوه فتاب عليكم فاقرؤوا ما تيسر من القرآن علم أن سيكون منكم مرضى وآخرون يضربون في الأرض يبتغون من فضل الله وآخرون يقاتلون في سبيل الله فاقرؤوا ما تيسر منه وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأقرضوا الله قرضا حسنا وما تقدموا لأنفسكم من خير تجدوه عند الله هو خيرا وأعظم أجرا واستغفروا الله إن الله غفور رحيم صدق الله العظيم. Bismillah. So we start in the name of Allah with the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam ballagha risala that he conveyed unto us as an amana from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillah, inshallah ta'ala. With regards to today, inshallah, would be in fact we are officially starting the course next week. Today is just an overview of what we are going to do in the course, inshallah ta'ala, so that we get an idea of what is expected of each one of us, inshallah ta'ala, with regards to this course and how we go forward. So today, inshallah, we just make sure we are all on the same page, inshallah ta'ala. And as we go along, please ask anything you feel like asking, please just ask. This session is mainly just so that we get all those questions answered and clarified, inshallah ta'ala. So let's start firstly with regards to this course, the Tajweed Comprehensive course. What exactly do we want, do we aim to do, inshallah ta'ala? So the first question we need to address is with regards to how do we exactly approach this topic of learning how to recite the Qur'an, learning how to recite the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first thing we need to appreciate is that there are two aspects to this. So one is the actual practice of your recitation, and the other is learning the theory, the rules which govern our recitation. And as adults, it behoves us more so to learn the rules. In the meanwhile, practice our recitation. For children, it's more appropriate just to tell them, do like this, do like that, don't do that, don't do this, so on and so forth, with regards to just correcting them in their recitation. Whereas as adults, our mental faculty is developed to a certain degree wherein we are able to now appreciate the rules in an abstract sense, rules which govern our recitation, rules which once we learn will help us in reciting correctly once we apply them in our recitation. So rules is more so beneficial for us as adults to learn in order to help in our recitation. And also in reality, if one were to look at it, this is a part of the preservation of the Qur'an. The rules which have been formalized and codified by the scholars of the Qur'an, the Ahlul Qur'an, who the Prophet ﷺ said, Ahlul Qur'an, Ahlullahi wa Khassatuh, that the people of the Qur'an are the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they are the elite from the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those scholars who have codified the rules of recitation for us, this is a means of preservation of the Qur'an, Hifdul Qur'an, because we know we are far removed from the Arabs who spoke Arabic as it should be spoken, not just non-Arabs, but Arabs of the present day in and of themselves. We are very far removed from how Arabic was articulated in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the rules are key in not just in us learning, but also they are key in preserving the recitation of the Quran and in reality in teaching it and passing on this knowledge from generation to generation, inshallah ta'ala. So we need rules, and at the same time, we shouldn't take our eye off the ball in the sense that rules are a means. They are a means. They are not an end in and of themselves. They are a means in order for us to rectify and correct our recitation so that we recite the Quran properly, such that so that inshallah we are of the people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says of them in the Quran, الَّذِينَ يَتْلُونَ قُرْآنَ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ أُولَٰئِكَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ. That they are a people who recite the Quran as it should be recited. They do tilawah of the Quran as it should be done. They are the people who believe in it. So recitation is the goal, is the aim. The rules are a means. They facilitate in attaining the goal. Yeah. Any questions? And if there's anything you feel like saying, sharing, please feel free. I know this is the first class, so it'll take some time for us to get comfortable, but it's fine, inshallah. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so we need both. We need both. We need to study the rules and we need to practice our recitation. Both are important. And with regards to recitation, we focus on reciting as in reciting ourselves, and rightly so. It is important, and that is again the goal, that we recite correctly. But a key factor which we do not pay enough attention to is listening. Yeah. So reciting is, let's just say, crudely put, it's output. In order to have proper output, you need to first have proper input. So you listen, and that is how you primarily correct your recitation, by becoming a keen listener. Becoming a keen listener. Only if you can tell the difference between what's right and what's not will you be able to rectify. Will you be first able to spot any correction required within yourself and then be able to make the correction. So keen listening is key to correct reciting. And this goes back all the way back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنَهُ. That when Jibreel alayhi salam recites the Quran unto you, follow him in his recitation. So listen to him and follow him in his recitation. Yeah. So listening is key. Listening is key. This is how we take Quran, by talaqqi, by listening to our teacher. We listen to our teacher and we repeat. And then the teacher says, yeah, that was correct, or no, you need to make such and such changes. So listening is key, and we need, and it's important. Its importance cannot be stressed enough. So we need to listen, and not just listen to quote unquote people of so reciters, good reciters, but we also need to listen to ourselves. When we recite, we listen to ourselves in the sense that this and this is beneficial. Why? Because when we listen to someone else reciting and the teacher correcting someone else, then you yourself get an appreciation of what is happening and what you need to do in your recitation. And many a times it's easier to be a third person because, quote unquote, you're not in the hot seat. So it's easier for you to process what is happening, rather than many a times people may, at least initially, may feel a bit nervous reciting to someone else, which they may not have done prior. Yeah. So reciting is key, but at the same time, so is listening. Yeah. So is listening. Anyone want to say anything? The next thing we need to talk about is your correctness in your recitation and fluency, and they both are not the same thing. They both are not the same thing. In fact, one could go as far as to say they are potentially independent of each other. How correct your recitation is, how proper your pronunciation is, how clear your recitation is not necessarily linked to how fluent your recitation is. There can be, and there is many a person who is extremely fluent in the recitation. They can recite ajza after ajza, meaning juz after juz, in no time at all. They're extremely fluent in the recitation, but that does not necessarily mean that the recitation is correct. Yeah, they may have significant and in many cases serious errors in their recitation, even though they may be extremely fluent. And on the other hand, there may be someone who has practiced proper recitation, but they're still beginning their journey. Even though they may have they are practicing proper recitation, their articulation is good, their pronunciation is fine, but they may not necessarily be fluent. So these are two almost independent aspects of one's recitation. So one may be correct, but at the same time not necessarily very fluent. There may be breaks in his recitation. He may have to pause. He may have to. Yes, he needs to work on his fluency, but both are not the same thing. A person can be good in the pronunciation while not being very fluent, and vice versa. They could be very fluent, but their recitation has issues. Yeah. So inshallah, in the course, we'll try. The intention is to work on both. The intention is to work on both. That we rectify any issues with our recitation, but at the same time also work with the fluency of our recitation. To become more fluent, inshallah, so that the Qur'an flows off our tongue, inshallah ta'ala, that our tongue is conditioned to the recitation of the Qur'an, to the recitation of the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any questions? Any comments? Anyone wants to say anything? Bismillah, people are still shy. Okay, let's carry on, inshallah. Okay, now you're going to be forced to speak. So this is a very contentious issue. I'm potentially going to I'm going to flirt with blasphemy now. Okay, and so let's put the question this way. So who amongst us recites from an Uthmani Mushaf as of now? Who amongst us recites from an Uthmani Mushaf? Okay, I'll just go through the names. Fahad, I expect you would be reciting from an Uthmani Mushaf.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
There's a bit of an issue in regards to that.
What's the issue?
So I've memorized a bit from the INDO-PAK.
Okay.
But I can recite from Uthmani text, alhamdulillah.
Okay, khair, inshallah, that's fine. That's fine. Jazakallah khairan. Hashim. Jazakallah khairan, Fahad. Hashim.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Yeah, I recite from
Yes,
the Uthmani,
please.
but I'm not necessarily fluent in it.
Okay, that's fine, inshallah. That's fine. I just want to know. I just want to know where this group is. That's all. It's not. There's no issues as of now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you start. Muhammad, INDO-PAK. Muhammad Chowdhury, I assume. Yes. Assalamu alaikum. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. It's okay. Yeah. It's okay. I just want to get an idea of where everyone is in the class. That's all. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Your voice isn't coming through. Mukhtar.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Mukhtar. You're all right.
Alhamdulillah, very good, thank you. INDO-PAK, inshallah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khairan. Nazia?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Yes, please. So which mushaf do you read from? Which one you're more comfortable with?
I think I use the Uthmani one. I'm not sure though.
Just a minute. So let me show. So if you use the one on the right, sorry, which one do you use? Is it the one on the right, or it's one of the? It's either the one on one of the two on the left.
It's the one on the right.
Okay, so that's the INDO-PAK mushaf. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Jazakallah khairan. That's good. Sahreen? Sorry, yes, Nazia, you wanted to say something?
Oh no, sorry, no.
Okay, that's fine. Sahreen, which one do you use?
Assalamu alaikum. I use the INDO-PAK one.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan. Shafaqat? I'm sorry, I don't know if I mispronounced your name. Shafaqat? Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Yes, please. Sorry, did I mispronounce your name?
It's Shafqat here.
Shafqat, okay.
Yes.
So which one do you use, sorry? Is it the INDO-PAK one?
Well, Ustad, I was going to ask first initially, I was going to say, what's the difference between the two? But obviously, looking at that now, I'd say yes, the one on the right, INDO-PAK one that I use.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan, that's fine. Jazakallah khairan. Tariq, I assume you'll be using the Uthmani one?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
No, the Uthmani text.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. So most of us, Jazakallah khairan, all of you, thank you. I've got to hear all of your voices as well, so that's good. So yes, so there's two main mushafs which currently are used by majority of the Muslims in the world, and most, many if not most from the Indian subcontinent would be using this mushaf on the right, which is either called the Indo-PAK mushaf or the Urdu mushaf or whatever, the Mughal or the Persian mushaf or whatever. It's basically the one which is used in the subcontinent, predominantly used in the subcontinent. So that's the Indo-PAK mushaf. Yeah, that's the Indo-PAK mushaf. On the left is the Uthmani mushaf. So the one on the top is handwritten, is the handwritten script, and the one on the bottom is a digitized font. For all practical purposes, they are the same. It's just the way they are written. The diacritical markings, the tashkil is the same. There's no difference. So it could be either. So you both are the Uthmani mushaf. So what's the difference? We'll go into some of the differences. But what I'm going to tell you might be a bitter pill to swallow. Well, I'm speaking. I'm not an Arab myself. I'm an Indian myself. So to get straight to the point, we should learn to use the Uthmani mushaf, inshallah ta'ala. And we will be spending the initial part of the course learning how to use the Uthmani mushaf. Why? Because the Uthmani mushaf is going to make reciting correctly much easier. It's going to be much more easier to recite correctly using the Uthmani mushaf than using the INDO-PAK mushaf. Shall we leave it at that, or anyone wants to know why?
I'd like to know why, please.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Same here, please.
Yes. Yeah, inshallah. Yeah. So let's go through a few let's not say issues, a few points, and see what the differences are And you can be the judge, yeah? So don't take my word for it because you want to know why. So I'll go through a few things, and after that, then you can tell me what do you think. Okay, so we're going to go through a few technical things. You're not required to remember any of those things, yeah? It's just to point out a few differences between the two. So if you don't know anything prior, it's not a problem. Yeah, and you're not expected to remember it after this class as well. This is not a class where we are teaching and we are learning. This is just to point out things, just so that you are so that I can inshallah nudge you towards the Uthmani Mushaf. So you're not required to remember anything. Don't get overwhelmed. This is just to point out things, okay? Just a few things. One of the first, let's say, issues with the INDO-PAK Mushaf is that there is no differentiation between, I'm going to use a few terms. It doesn't matter if you don't know what they are. We'll just briefly talk about them. The first one is there's no difference between the two hamzas. There are two different types of hamzas, the hamzatul wasl and the hamzatul qat. There's no differentiation between the two. And there's no differentiation between an alif, which is red, and an alif, which is not red. And all of them look the same in the INDO-PAK Mushaf. So if you look at all of these which I've highlighted, all of them look the same. You can't tell one from the other. It's just a straight line. There's no differentiation whatsoever. Yeah. The ones I've highlighted in the red, they are all the hamzas, which you can know because of a haraka. A haraka meaning a vowel meaning an a or a e or a u sound. A fatha or a dhamma or a kasra or a Zair Zabar Pesh. I'm sorry, I don't know the Urdu terminology a lot, but I don't know Zair Zabar Pesh. But yeah. So first thing, just don't look at everything. Just look at what I'm pointing out. Yeah. So look at this red hamza. It's actually a hamza. It's got and on the left side where you have the Uthmani script, look at what I've highlighted. So firstly, can you see where there is a hamzatul qat, just take the term for as it is for now. It's got an actual hamza there. It's got an actual hamza. So because it's got a kasra, it's below the alif. Because it's got a fatha or a dhamma, if it had a dhamma, then it'll be above the alif. So it's got an actual hamza there. So that tells you it's a hamzatul qat, which means that it's always going to be read, regardless of whether you're starting on it or you're carrying on. So if you were to join the first ayah to the next, Maliki yawmiddini iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. So if you were to join, you'd always read it basically. You'd always read it. That's okay. Doesn't really cause a problem in the INDO-PAK Mushaf. Maliki yawmiddini iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. So far so good with the INDO-PAK Mushaf. What if you join the next ayah? Yeah. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. And look here. This is not a hamzatul qat. This is a hamzatul wasl. Don't worry about the term. Can you see they're all marked differently in the Uthmani Mushaf? They're all marked differently. What that means is they are not read unless you start on them. If you start on them, you read them. Otherwise, you don't read them. So for instance, Maliki Yawmiddin, you don't read Maliki Yawmi Ad-Din. You don't do that. You don't read that Hamzatul Wasl. You read the Hamzatul Wasl only if you start on it. So you don't read, you read Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. You don't read Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. You don't do that. Yeah, you don't read the Hamzatul Wasl at all. You read it only when you start on it. So when you start on it, you read it Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. But if you joined it, then you don't read it. You don't read the Hamzatul Wasl. You read Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. But here you get into a problem. The INDO-PAK Mushaf. You read E, you can't tell the difference. Here you can clearly tell the difference between a Hamzatul Wasl and a Hamzatul Qat. Yeah, you can clearly tell the difference. Whereas in the INDO-PAK Mushaf, you can't tell the difference. So unless you knew, like your Arabic was really strong and you could tell the difference, you knew Arabic, you would end up making a mistake. You would have added a hamza into your recitation. You'd added a letter into your recitation. And this is the Fatiha. This is the Fatiha, letter on anywhere else in the Quran. So this is the first one. With regards to the hamza, you can't tell the difference between the hamzatul wasl, which you only read when you start on it, and the hamzatul qat, which you read always, regardless of whether you're starting or you're carrying on. Is everyone with me on that? Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Nazia, was that okay? Can you tell the difference?
Sorry. I think so.
Yeah, okay, that's good. It's just as long as it makes sense, that's all. We're just trying to point out a few differences, that's all. That's good. Jazakumullah khairan. And the other one is sorry, was someone saying something? Okay. The next thing I'd like to point out is that obviously you can't tell the difference between a hamzatul wasl here. This is actually hamzatul wasl, if you can see here, and an alif. Yeah, you can't tell the difference between a hamzatul wasl and an alif. But the other thing is that this alif is actually not a part of the script. I'm not sure why in the INDO-PAK Musaf it's written as a proper alif. It should be a alif khanjariya, which we'll talk about later. Don't worry about it. But it's written. I don't know why. But the other thing is the alif. The alif, which is not always read. So, وَلَا أَنَا عَابِدٌ مَا عَبَدْتُمْ. Ana. This alif is not read. When you carry on, it's not read. When you stop, it's read. We'll talk about it later in detail. But for now, all you need to know is when you're carrying on, you don't read that alif. وَلَا أَنَا عَابِدٌ مَا عَبَدْتُمْ. It's not read when you're carrying on. But you can't tell the difference in the INDO-PAK Musaf. You can't. How would you know that this alif is not read? It looks exactly the same as this alif, which is read. Yeah, so you would have introduced a mad in your recitation and you'd be none the wiser. Yeah, so you would recite وَلَا أَنَا عَابِدٌ مَا عَبَدْتُمْ. Incorrect. Yeah. Everyone following? Muhammad, was that okay? Oh, sorry, I can't hear you still. You need to sort out your mic, inshallah ta'ala, to sort out your mic. Mukhtar, did that make sense?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm quote unquote justifying my blasphemy. Yeah. Yeah. So those two things. Yeah, there are two. Those are the two things we've talked about yet. So there's the hamzatul wasl and the hamzatul qat. The hamza, which is always read, cannot be differentiated from the hamza, which is only read while starting on it, the hamzatul wasl in the INDO-PAK Musaf. And then the other difference you can't tell is between the alif, which is always read, and the alif, which is not read when joining. You can't tell the difference. So a couple of things we have pointed out so far, yeah? And there are a few more things as well. So in the UTHMANI and the INDO-PAK Musaf, you can see any letter which has a sukoon will have the sukoon clearly written on it, regardless of the nature of the sukoon. We'll talk about this later. So a sukoon can be of different types. You don't need to know all of these things now. I'm just pointing them out so that you can appreciate the difference between an INDO-PAK Musaf and an UTHMANI Musaf. That's all. You don't need to remember. So a sukoon can be an idhar, can be an ikhfa, can be idgham naqis, can be idgham kamil, can be a qalb. Doesn't matter. The INDO-PAK Musaf will give you the sukoon. It won't differentiate. Yeah, it won't differentiate. Whereas the UTHMANI Musaf will differentiate. It will show you what you're dealing with. It'll show you what you're dealing with. Yeah. will show you what you're dealing with. So for instance, this sukoon here is fine. Here you do read the noon clearly. An'amta, an'amta. Yeah, so the sukoon, you can find it there. Whereas in this case, min sharri ma khalaqa, it's called an ikhfa. You don't need to know it. Yeah, you don't read the noon clearly. You don't do min sharri ma khalaq. You read min sharri ma khalaq. Yeah, and the sign of that in the Uthmani Mus'haf, how do you know that? The sukoon is missing to tell you that the noon is not read clearly. There's something going on between the noon and the sheen, basically. Yeah. Whereas you can't tell that. You can't figure that out in the INDO-PAK Mus'haf. Okay, it looks exactly the same. Likewise, if there is an idgham. So for instance, وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. So in this case, the noon isn't read at all when you carry on. The noon completely becomes the lam. So that's why the noon doesn't have anything, and you see the shadda on the lam. So you read وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Here there's a shadda on the lam. Okay, I can kind of concede that, but still a sukoon on the noon and then the shadda on the lam, at the very least it's confusing. At the very least, walam yakun, and then you're faced with the shadda. So here it's clear in the Uthmani Mus'haf what you need to do. The noon doesn't have anything, and there's a shadda on the next letter, which means the noons completely become the lam. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Yeah. Likewise, similarly, وَلَا أَنَا, again, أَنَا, not أَنَا. وَلَا أَنَا عَابِدٌ مَا عَبَدتُّمْ. Again, it's عَبَدتُّمْ. The dal completely becomes the ta. Then you see there's nothing on the dal and there's a shadda on the ta. At the very least, again, it's confusing. Yeah, these couple of points. Are we okay? Hashim, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm following. That's fine.
Yeah, you agree with me. Alhamdulillah. There you go. Okay. Alhamdulillah. And then the same, like the noon second, likewise with the tanween as well. So the way the tanween is written in the Uthmani Mus'haf will tell you, like the way the noon second is written will tell you what's happening with the noon second. The way the tanween is written will also tell you what's happening with the tanween. So if you can see here, this is where the tanween is read clearly. Salamun hiya hatta matla'il fajr. Salamun hiya. Salamun. The noon in the tanween is read clearly. Whereas here, can you see it's different? The dhammas are not together. They're one beside the other. That's because you don't read the noon. You see the shadda on the lam, so you read فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. You don't read فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. You read فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Yeah, but in the INDO-PAK Mus'haf, there's no differentiation. The dhamma, the tanween will look the same always, even though there is a shadda here, which you can argue kind of helps you, but still, there's at the very least, like I said, like in the case, it's confusing. And here you can't. Here, can you see? So if the kasratain, the two kasras or the two zairs, I think, are aligned with each other, that tells you that you read the noon clearly. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. ذَرَّةٍ, you read it clearly. Yeah. Whereas in the next ayah, it's not clear. مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. So the way everything is written is going to tell you what you need to do. Yeah. Do you agree? The way the tanween is written is also going to help you, whereas in the INDO-PAK Mus'haf, it's going to be written only the one way. It's not going to be written any different. Yeah. Shafqat, are you convinced?
Alhamdulillah, yes, so far.
Okay. Anyone want to object? Anyone want to object saying, Astaghfirullah, you're saying that the INDO-PAK Mus'haf is not good or whatever? Anyone wants to say anything? Anyone? We're all in agreement. Any questions?
Thought I had a question.
Yes, please.
Maybe it's opening up a can of worms, but the previous example you gave with the noon, where we don't recite it,
Yeah.
how come it's there if we don't recite it?
Okay, good question. It's a good question. Well, let's answer the question, even though we're not necessarily discussing that particular point. It's there because that's what it is. You recite it as a lam because of the interaction between the noon and the lam. So letters next to each other interact with each other. So the Arabs, Arabs place a lot of emphasis. The Arabic language places a lot of emphasis on letters rolling off the tongue. So if there are letters which are going to be close to each other with regards to how you say them, so that's why like tongue twisters in English, like she sells seashells on the seashore. Why are things like that difficult to say? They're heavy on the tongue. They're difficult. Why? Because there are so many letters which are close to each other, which you have to say. So the Arabs don't like anything like that. So if there are letters which are close to each other, so then they change one letter to the other. It does not mean that that letter is gone. It's just not recited. It is originally the noon. So the second lam here, the second lam here in the shadda is actually a noon, but it is recited as a lam. Why? So just say an in your mouth, say an, say al. Are they very close to each other?
Yes, Ustad, yeah.
So that is why it is a noon. It is a noon, but you change it to a lam because of the lam coming after, and you read it as a lam so that it's easy on the tongue.
Got it.
Kind of answer your question?
Yes, Jazakallah.
Oh, yeah, cool. Okay. Any other questions? Anyone else who's not yet convinced about the Uthmani Mus'haf? Anyone? Anyone wants to say anything, share their thoughts, feelings? I'm sorry, Muhammad, I can't hear you. Would you mind just dropping a chat? So either chat here or okay. Inshallah. Anyone? So this is why better to use the Uthmani Mus'haf. Don't go around. So I just say don't go around telling this to anyone and everyone. Not to use the INDO-PAK Mus'haf, because most of us do use the INDO-PAK Mus'haf, and we shouldn't stop people from reading the Qur'an. So just let people be do what they're doing. Just carry on what they're doing. So first, let us learn what is appropriate for us to learn, inshallah ta'ala, before we try to help others. So don't so just keep it up within ourselves for now, inshallah ta'ala. And don't cause fitna in our communities. But yeah, so we should be using the Uthmani Mus'haf, inshallah ta'ala. And we'll be spending our first few sessions purely focusing on understanding how to use the Mus'haf. What is the Mus'haf telling me? How do I look? Because you could have the best pronunciation in the world, but if you don't know what the Mus'haf is telling you, how to read, you can't recite correctly. You're going to make mistakes inevitably. So first, we need to be familiar, comfortable with the Mus'haf. So inshallah ta'ala, next week when we start, so until we start next week, so this is the time for you to inshallah get hold of an Uthmani Mus'haf if you don't have one already. if you don't have one already, it's time for you to get hold, inshallah ta'ala, for Uthmani Mushaf. And I assume things have opened up back in the UK now. So hopefully you should be able to, inshallah, get hold of it. You can also get hold of it online as well, on eBay or Amazon, inshallah ta'ala, as well, if you are so inclined. Yeah, so we've discussed this. So in the Uthmani Mus'haf as well, which one would I personally recommend? I think this is like a gold standard, the Medina Mus'haf. The Medina Mus'haf, which the big, like the A4 size Mus'haf looks like this, is like a blue Mus'haf, and the smaller one is like a green Mus'haf. So these are these Mus'hafs which are printed in Saudi Arabia. These are like the gold standard for Mus'hafs. The tahqiq is very good. The review process for these Mus'hafs is very good. So you won't find mistakes in them, inshallah. Unfortunately, there are Mus'hafs where you do find mistakes in them. And that actually shows you that the preservation of the Quran, the real preservation of the Quran, is actually through the people of the Quran, is preserved through the people of the Quran, about which we'll be talking next week, inshallah ta'ala, about how we have received the Quran, and what exactly it is that we are studying with regards to recitation. How do we get it? How have we received it until the present day? So these Mus'hafs, they are very good. They are very good, and I would recommend them. If you can get hold of them, inshallah ta'ala, that you get hold of them. There are electronic versions available as well. So if you want, we have put some up on the on our website, inshallah ta'ala. So if you were to go, where is it? So if you were to go to our website and then you go to downloads ebooks, then the first section would be for Mushafs and Mushaf al-Madina. So it's called the Madina Mushaf, basically, the Madina Mushaf, which is a type of Uthmani Mushaf. But you'll find, if you can't find, for whatever reason, the Madina Mushaf, any Uthmani Mushaf will do. Any Uthmani Mushaf will do. It just needs to be an Uthmani Mushaf. And inshallah, that will help you to learn recitation properly. Yeah. Sorry. Would we need any other books to supplement the course? Jazakallah khairan. Good question. We'll come to that, inshallah ta'ala. Yeah, we'll come to that. So, sorry, I'm sharing the wrong screen. So it's Uthman Taha. He's actually a Syrian. He's a Syrian sheikh. I think he's in his 80s now. He's the one who these Mus'hafs are actually handwritten. All of these Mus'hafs are handwritten, and you can go actually on online on YouTube and check him and look for Uthman Taha. It's very interesting with regards to how these Mus'hafs they are handwritten, and they go through the review process, and how they're then thereby circulated out to the public. So it's actually good for you to. So these Mus'hafs, they're all handwritten. They're handwritten, and all of the ajr goes back to this person. Allahu a'lam how many hundreds of thousands of copies are in circulation of the Medina Mus'haf. So the other thing, any one of you use Tajweed Mushafs? Anyone uses Tajweed Mushafs? Anyone thought? Okay, Jazakallah khairan.
Do you have any recommendations for any Uthmani color-coded ones, or would you not recommend it be used?
Okay, we're getting to that. Jazakallah khairan. We're getting to that. Sorry. Yeah. Anyone else use, or anyone else thought, oh, it's a good idea of starting a Tajweed course. I need to get a Tajweed Mushaf. Anyone thinking along those lines? Okay, that's good. Yeah. So I definitely do not recommend Tajweed Mushafs. Definitely do not. And you also get fancy stuff nowadays, like, well, I don't know what it is, like a stylus or something. You place it on the Mushaf and it reads it out for you and things like that. I'll talk about why. We'll talk about why we shouldn't be using Tajweed Mushafs. Firstly, anything which you need to know is already indicated in the Mus'haf. I'm talking about the Uthmani Mus'haf. Anything which you need to know is already indicated in the Uthmani Mus'haf. A few of those things we've already touched upon in order to highlight the differences between the INDO-PAK Mus'haf and the Uthmani Mus'haf. The signs are already there. The signs are already there. So that's the first thing. The color coding is not required. The second thing is the color coding. If you get used to it, it's just like unnecessary bells and whistles. So if you get used to it, then you're now dependent on it. So you can't use any other mushaf other than the mushaf you familiarize yourself with, because the colors will not necessarily be the same across all different Tajweed mushafs. So you have made yourself dependent upon something which you didn't need in the first place, because the signs are all already there. And you kind of now have desensitized yourself to those signs which are already there in the Mus'haf to tell you what you need to do. Yeah. And so basically, and anyways, they touch the most basic rules. It's like there is so much more to reciting properly than those things highlighted anyway. So yeah, it doesn't matter. It's an Indian Indo-Pak Mus'haf or an Uthmani Mus'haf. So just don't use dots. And I've been studying. I started studying learning recitation 7 to 8 years ago. I've never ever come across a single person who could recite well, who recited well using. And that person used a quote unquote Tajweed Mus'haf. I've never come across a person who uses a Tajweed Mus'haf and they quote unquote recited well. It's just like I've heard this from like teachers. They say this is just like a marketing gimmick. Like people have done this just so that they could sell stuff, possibly. Allahu alam, people's intentions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. But there is no need, basically the point. There is no need. And as such, we should be staying away from them, because what is there already will suffice us. What the Ummah has used for centuries will suffice us, inshallah, for centuries to come. Does that kind of make sense? Why we don't need Tajweed Mushafs? And Sahreen, is that okay? Would it be all right if you try to kind of use a mushaf which doesn't have color coding and see how it goes, inshallah?
Yes, Jazakallah for that. That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan. Yeah. So that's why this session is just so that we all get onto the same page. So deal with some of the common questions. And so that then when we start the course, all these things are addressed already, inshallah ta'ala, next week when we start. So now let's come to the actual course, inshallah ta'ala. So the theory sessions. So inshallah, theory sessions, we'll be covering everything which a person needs to know with regards to the recitation of the Quran, the rules regarding the recitation of the Quran. So we'll go through everything, inshallah ta'ala. And there is no requirement that you need to know anything prior. So the course is formulated on the assumption that the student doesn't have any prior knowledge of the subject topic. So as long as you can read, so you know letters and you know the vowels, then khalas, inshallah ta'ala. So then we can build on it. Then we build on it, and we will, inshallah, deal with the subject topics in a comprehensive manner. And we'll go through everything that you need to know, inshallah ta'ala, not just so that you can recite properly, now that you're in a position, inshallah, to teach others as well, starting hopefully with your family, inshallah ta'ala, then inshallah on a wider setting. So theory sessions will cover everything. So there'll be 40 weeks of classes, inshallah ta'ala, in this course. So there'll be 40 weeks. There'll be 3 terms. So each term, 13 weeks. 13 weeks in each term. So that will give us 39 weeks. And the 40th week will be the khatam, the last session, inshallah ta'ala. That will be just before the start of Ramadan. Next year, inshallah ta'ala. So theory sessions will cover everything, starting from, so first we'll get an introduction with regards to the preservation of the Quran and how we have received the writing of the Quran and the recitation of the Quran to this day and age. And then we'll talk about how to use the mushaf, what are the signs, the symbols, the conventions, how to use the mushaf, and then we go into the makharij al-huruf, about how to articulate letters correctly, and then we go into the different rules. So then we go talk about lam sakina, mim sakina, nun sakina. We talk about iltiqa al-huruf. We talk about the meeting of letters. We talk about mudud. We talk about sifat al-huruf. So basically, we'll cover everything, inshallah ta'ala, which we need. And the reference books. So this question was asked. The course is based on these 2 books, basically, inshallah ta'ala, these 2 books, the Tajweed Rules of the Quran and Illustrated Tajweed. Both of these books are by students of Sheikh Ayman Suwaid. Sheikh Ayman Suwaid. He's a Syrian scholar. He's considered to be the leading scholar, the leading authority on the recitation of the Quran alive today. Hafidhahullah ta'ala. He currently lives in Jeddah. He is considered the authority with regards to the recitation of the Quran. Everyone refers to him. Everyone refers to him. Hafidhahullah ta'ala. So these books are by a student. So the Tajweed Rules of the Quran is available. You can download it if you're so inclined from our website. So if you go there to our website, so if you go to contemporary text, so Tajweed Rules of the Quran, so all the 3 parts you can download if you are so inclined. These two books, they're actually good for you to have if you want as reference books. But the thing is, all the course material will be provided to you. So this is the course material for the current batch. So week on week, we'll send you the link to the folder where we're sharing the material which was used in that particular week, so that you can review it, inshallah ta'ala, and it's there for you to use, inshallah ta'ala. So those are, and you'll be sent that, you'll be provided access to those, inshallah ta'ala. So that's to do with your theory sessions. You, as such, you don't need to buy any of the books. The course material will suffice you, inshallah ta'ala. But if you want further reading, so the Illustrated Tajweed book is good for illustrations, for the pictographic depictions are good, illustrations are good, whereas Tajweed Rules of the Quran, there's more explanation, so there's more quote unquote theory there. So if you are so inclined, you can get hold of those books. They are good books to have for reference. But for the course, the course material which will be provided will suffice you, inshallah ta'ala. And like we said, you can download the ebooks if you want. So that has to do with the theory session, inshallah ta'ala. The theory sessions will be covering everything which you need to know in order to recite correctly. Recitation sessions. So reciting, inshallah ta'ala, like we said, recitation is the ultimate aim. The aim is to be able to recite correctly, inshallah ta'ala. The theory is just the means. The rules are a means to be able to recite correctly. So recitation sessions, inshallah ta'ala, for sisters, it will be on Mondays, 7 p.m. inshallah ta'ala. Mondays, and for brothers on Tuesdays. Tuesdays. So let's go back to the. So if you go to so we'll be inshallah giving you the material as well what you need. So that, like we said, there's 40 weeks. So there's 40 weeks of classes, yeah, 40 weeks of classes. So 40 weeks, we'll be reciting Surah Fatiha and then Surah Nas to Surah Qadr. So that's 19 surahs, 19 chapters. But Surah Bayna being slightly longer, we split it into 2. So that gives us 20. So what we'll be doing is 20, so we have 20 quote unquote sections which we'll be reciting, and each section will be reciting twice. So week 1 you start with Fatiha, and the week after as well Fatiha again. So the first week you recite to and then if there are any corrections, you can go work on them inshallah ta'ala over the course of the week, and you come back and recite again. And then week 3 will be Surah Nas. So there'll be material for you as well which you can use. There'll be the material which will be shared to you. So a good thing for you to do would be to head to the YouTube channel E-Tilawah Academy, possibly, and I will be sharing these in the groups, WhatsApp groups. So for each week you'll have you have material which you can listen to reciters. So for instance, so weeks 1 and 2 Surah Fatiha. So recitation of different good reciters of the Quran. So Sheikh Al-Husari, who's like the gold standard of recitation. Sheikh Ayman, who's possibly the most knowledgeable Quran reciter alive today. Sheikh Muhammad Samir al-Nas, he's also, mashallah, he's one of the best reciters around. He's Jami al-Qira'at. He has ijazah in all the different recitations of the Quran. Sheikh Abdul Razak, he's my teacher. He's my teacher who I studied with in Manchester. He's from Syria as well. His recitation and a recitation video of myself as well reciting, so that you can see all of those others are audios. So you can listen to them. You can listen to them, and to help you prepare for the classes, to help you prepare for your recitation sessions. So the recitation sessions will start at 7 inshallah ta'ala, first come first served, and you recite. You're welcome to stay, you're encouraged to stay, but if you want to leave, you can. Like we said, listening is key with regards to reciting properly. So the more you listen to others being corrected, it not only helps you in your recitation, but it also broadens your knowledge with regards to, okay, that's what it is. Oh, okay, that didn't occur to me, so on and so forth. So reading circles, yeah. So you have that for up to week 40. So that's up to, so the first line is up to week 20, and then the next line is up to week 40. Yeah, so up to week 40. So that's with regards to the reading circles, inshallah ta'ala. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So okay. So that's with regards to the recitation sessions, yeah? That's with regards to the recitation sessions. Any questions on the recitation sessions? And for the sisters, inshallah ta'ala, you'll be given information with regards to reciting, and also with regards to reciting when one is not allowed to pray, when one is not allowed to pray. So the recommendation, obviously, it's up to you to take. If you want to recite regularly, then you can take the rukhsa from the Maliki madhab. The Maliki madhab will be sharing details about that, inshallah ta'ala, in the groups, so that you can carry on reciting and practicing, inshallah ta'ala. Recitation sessions, any questions? Does that make sense? So 7 o'clock on Mondays for sisters and Tuesdays for brothers, inshallah ta'ala. Any questions?
How long is the session?
So it's just you recite your Surah Fatiha, it usually typically would be for 5 to 10 minutes for each person. First come, first serve. You recite, and then if you want to stay, you're welcome to stay. You're encouraged to stay. But if you want to leave, you can. Yeah. Cool. So that's to do with recitation, and it's very important. It's a very important aspect of the course. In fact, you could say this is key. Like recitation is why we learn, like to improve our recitation. The theory is just the means. That's and muallim recitation. So the recitations which you have shared is muallim recitations, like the recitations we'll be sending out. They are recitations of teachers of the Quran. It's not necessarily recitations which are focusing on like maqamat and focusing on things which are above and beyond what is required for a correct recitation. Yeah. So the focus is purely on reciting correctly, not on anything else. So as such, these recitations are recitations where the reciters are focusing on everything being clear and clearly heard, so which facilitates the listener to pick up the recitation and recite correctly, inshallah ta'ala. So the recitations which we'll be sharing are called like muallim recitations, recitations of teachers of the Quran, inshallah ta'ala. So then there's another aspect of the course, which is the reading circles. Like we mentioned, there's two things. There's correctness in your recitation, and then there's fluency. Yeah. So in order to help us with our fluency, especially for most of us who's going to be new to the Uthmani Mushaf, we're going to have reading circles to help us get up to speed with reciting the Quran fluently, inshallah ta'ala. What do we mean by that? So every class, every week, you'll have a very short portion, very small portion so you'll be encouraged to form small groups, potentially two or three, ideally not more than that, small groups amongst yourselves to recite. Where is it? Okay. So to recite amongst yourselves. So what we'll be doing over the period of 40 weeks, inshallah, we'll be finishing our recitation of Surah Baqarah. So each week, very small portions. Yeah, typically between, I don't know, around 3 to 7 minutes. So you recite amongst yourselves. The focus is not on unnecessarily, even though whatever you learn, you try to implement in your recitation, no doubt, but the focus is on helping each other recite, and getting fluent in reciting. So the intention is a person who's finishing the course, they should be now comfortable in reading from Fatiha to Nas. They must be people now, inshallah, khatamat of the Quran, that they are able to now carry on reading, beginning to and cover to cover of the Quran, and they are now able to do that on a consistent basis, inshallah ta'ala. Yeah. So every week, so you form your own groups, inshallah ta'ala, within the WhatsApp groups we have created. Just discuss with each other what times are convenient for you, and form groups and set up these reading circles. And those amongst us who are already fluent in our recitation, this is your chance to get started with helping each other, to help others. So when you help others in recitation, this is your first steps in teaching others. So you should be now kind of taking the initiative in setting up these circles and helping each other recite, inshallah ta'ala. So one of the things which the students in the current course, they do is like just before they start the reading circle, when they listen to this clip, a short clip which we'll send out, and then they recite. And the other thing they do is they also review the theory which was covered in that week. They review the theory which was covered in that week so that they can keep up with the rules which they're learning. So that's the reading circles, inshallah ta'ala. Any questions on the reading circles?
Just a quick one, Sidi.
Yes. Yes.
So will those sessions be supervised by yourself, or
no? The reading circles are for yourselves. Reading the recitation, yes, you'll be reciting to me. Like I said, the reading circles, the focus is not necessarily on reciting on your tajweed per se. This is to practice your fluency, to get people up to speed with reciting the Quran.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So these sessions is more so for those amongst you who are inshallah fluent to kind of step up now is your first step in inshallah like helping others inshallah ta'ala. So those are reading circles, and they're important part of the course. Like we said, the course is not just about learning rules. The course is not just about reciting correctly, but it's also about inshallah being able to recite fluently as well. Yeah, so that's reading circles. Any questions on reading circles? Any questions on the reading circles?
Which day would be reading circles?
No, that's up to you. So the groups at whatever time is convenient for you. That's for you guys to. Yeah, I don't need to dictate those. That's for you guys to agree amongst yourselves, inshallah ta'ala. Yeah, at your own time. It typically I don't think takes more than. Will typically take possibly between half an hour to so less than half an hour, I'd imagine. Definitely less than half an hour. But get into these, inshallah ta'ala. Get into these, the habit of doing these, inshallah ta'ala. And then as well, we'll be having reviews. So like we said, we have 3 terms of 13 weeks, yeah? So we'll be having reviews at the end of, at the 13th week. So basically the last week of the term, we'll be having reviews. So week 13 will be the review for term 1, week 26 for term 2, and week 39 for term 3. So we'll review everything which has been covered so far. So it'll be like, these are actually quite popular with the students. They love the kind of a game show kind of thing. So you have like a quiz. So it's a kind of a fun way to review whatever you have learned so far. And in many cases, it's more so like a wake-up call to kind of stay on top of things. So every 13th week, we'll have a review, inshallah ta'ala, and in order to kind of like a reality check for us, inshallah ta'ala. Anyone have any issues with the review? It's fun. It's fun. It's there's no pressure. It's like a game. So at the same time, we get to revise, inshallah ta'ala. So that you'll have reviews as well, inshallah ta'ala. The other thing is now is just commitment. All of us, we just need to commit to this, inshallah ta'ala. So starting is a good sign, inshallah ta'ala. Is a sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants something from us, inshallah ta'ala. He desires for us good. He desires for us good. So now, inshallah ta'ala, is for us to kind of respond to that blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with, inshallah, an intention, a niyyah. Inshallah, and a strong and firm resolve, and azima, inshallah ta'ala, that we are going to work on our recitation of the Quran, inshallah ta'ala. Inshallah ta'ala, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, I'm leaving amongst you 2 things which you hold on to, that he commanded us to hold on to, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And of this, the first one is the Quran. The first one is the Quran. And that's what he counseled us with, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, especially in the end of times, which no doubt we are. If not, we are very fast approaching. So, sorry, Nazia, you've got your hand up. Is there anything you need to say? You want to say?
I'm just going to pick up the kids from karate, and I'll be back. I'll probably be about 15 minutes.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. Inshallah, the class is recorded. We'll share it as well. And apologies. The first class is slightly overrunning. Yeah, no issues. Jazakallahu khairan. Yeah. So commitment, inshallah ta'ala, that so the commitment is basically the theory sessions. Keep on top of the theory sessions. Yeah. The recitation sessions. So make sure you're reciting every week in and out. So make sure you keep that going, and also the reading circle. So that's your commitment. That's your commitment to the course. Other than that, your recitation of the Quran at your own time, at your own. So whatever you recite, just keep that going, inshallah ta'ala. But please try to switch to the UTHMANI MUSHAF. Please try to switch to the UTHMANI MUSHAF. Initially, yes, you may struggle a bit. It might be a bit difficult. Trust me. You've joined the course. You kind of trust me anyway. So, but there are lots of students have gone through the same. They are now much happier with regards to their recitation. So So please, inshallah ta'ala, try to switch to an Uthmani Musaf if you are not already using one. Yeah. So that's your commitment, inshallah ta'ala, with regards to the course. So what's our objective? Our objective, inshallah, is to, at the end of the course, we should be in a place where we are competent, inshallah ta'ala, that we know what we are doing. When we open the Musaf, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we know what the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to tell us and what it expects of us with regards to the first rights which the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has over us, is that we recite it to the best ability that we can. So the objective is that when you, inshallah, when you finish the course, you are competent with regards to firstly knowing the rules of engaging with the Quran with regards to recitation, inshallah ta'ala, and you have significantly improved in your recitation, with regards to proper articulation, and you have significantly improved, inshallah, with regards to your fluency with which you recite the Quran, inshallah ta'ala. So those three aspects, inshallah ta'ala, and that now you're in a position not only to benefit yourself but also to benefit others, inshallah ta'ala, with regards to spreading what you have learned, starting with your own family and inshallah into your communities, inshallah ta'ala. So that's the objective of the course, that you become competent with regards to the recitation of the Quran, inshallah ta'ala. Any questions? Any questions? So timetable. So we have already mentioned. So it's 7 o'clock on Mondays for sisters, 7 o'clock the recitation session, 7 o'clock on Tuesdays for the brothers, the recitation sessions, and Wednesdays the same time for the theory sessions, inshallah ta'ala. But given that I'm not in the UK, so I think right now it's not too much of a problem. But so please let me know if like it's Maghrib time in the UK. I wouldn't know. So if it's time for prayer, just tell me and we'll have a break. So let me know, inshallah ta'ala, and we'll have a break. I usually will be clued up to when the clocks change in the UK, but just drop me a message, just gently remind me, inshallah ta'ala, like the week before or something, if when the clocks spring forward or go back, inshallah ta'ala. But other than that, yeah, the key thing is like prayer times. So if the class is going through your prayer, yeah, you need to pray, then just let me know, and inshallah we'll have a break in the middle. Yeah, that's that, inshallah. And very briefly, just to give you an idea with regards to my teachers, I started learning the recitation of the Quran firstly with my teacher in Warrington, Ustad Tahir Zaman. Some of you may or may not know him from Warrington. He's a doctor. So I started learning recitation and rules from him initially, and at the same time I started practicing my recitation with Sheikh Harun Hanif. I believe many of you or most of you would, if not all of you, would know Sheikh Harun. So I started practicing my recitation with him, and alhamdulillah. And after that, I started learning the rules of Tajweed in depth. So the illustrated Tajweed, the book which you saw, so there's actually an Arabic version which came out before that. So I studied those books with Sheikh Abdul Razak. So studied them completely, beginning to end with Sheikh Abdul Razak with regards to the recitation of the Quran. Sheikh Abdul Razak, he has ijazah in the recitation. So he has an unbroken chain of transmission back to the Prophet ﷺ with regards to the recitation of the Quran. So I learned the rules of recitation from him, and alhamdulillah I was also blessed to recite to him for ijazah. So I recited from the Fatiha and to Surah Ma'idah for ijazah, but unfortunately I couldn't carry on with him, obviously because I've moved away from the UK now. But yeah, so I was blessed to study with him, and then I've also had the opportunity to study for a year with Sheikh Mahmoud Abdul Jawad. He's an Azhari scholar. He's a scholar from in Cairo. So I've been reciting with him for a year, and I also studied a book of Tajweed, text Tuhfatul Atfal with him. So I've studied with him as well and recited to him for around a year with him. And both Sheikh Harun and Sheikh Mahmoud, both of them have given me ijazah to kind of teach. So thereby, in reality, I'm not teaching, I'm learning. And believe it or not, I did learn something new today as well as I was preparing for the class. So yeah, so they are my teachers, and as of now that I'm currently in Istanbul now, so I'm completing my hifz with Sheikh Muhammad Amir Bayezid, who's from Syria himself, and he's authorized in all the different recitations, the variant recitations, the 10 recitations of the Quran. So I'm doing my hifz with him, inshallah. After which I'll be completing my ijazah with him as well, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So they are my teachers. So. And if anyone wants to know anything more, please feel free to ask. And that's my background basically with regards to the Quran. That's my background with the. So yeah, I'd leave it at that, inshallah ta'ala. Sorry. So any questions, inshallah ta'ala, before we finish? I think I've spoken too long, too much. Any questions before we finish? Any questions? Fahad, any questions?
Not from the Sheikh. Jazakallah khair.
Hashim, any questions?
No.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan. Muhammad, if there are any, please drop us a message, inshallah ta'ala. Mukhtar?
Alhamdulillah, all good. Jazakallah.
Ayakum. Sahrin, any questions?
No, Jazakallah.
Ayakum. Shafqat?
No, thank you, Ustad. Jazakallah.
Ayakum. Tariq, everything all right?
Inshallah, looking forward to doing the course.
I am as well, inshallah, because I know there are quite a few of you who are already quite fluent with regards to the recitation of the Quran and already have some background. So I'm very much eager and looking forward to the discussions and me as well, inshallah ta'ala, to learn more from you all, inshallah ta'ala. So I'm looking forward to it as well. So inshallah, very briefly, between today and next week, so get hold of an Uthmani Mushaf if you haven't yet already. If you don't have one already, please, and no Tajweed Mushafs. And other than that, inshallah, we'll start with the recitation sessions next week. So Monday 7 p.m. for sisters and Tuesday 7 p.m. for the brothers, inshallah ta'ala. So, and as well, please get sorted amongst yourselves with regards to the groups for your reading circles at times which are convenient for each other, for yourselves, inshallah ta'ala. So with that, we'll finish there, inshallah, and we'll meet again next week, inshallah ta'ala. اللهم انفعنا وارفعنا بالقرآن الكريم واجعله لنا إماما ونورا وهدى ورحمة. اللهم ذكرنا منه ما نسينا وعلمنا منه ما جهلنا وارزقنا تلاوته آناء الليل وأطراف النهار واجعله لنا شفاء وشفيعا وحجة يا رب العالمين. وجزى الله عنا سيدنا محمدا صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم ما هو أهله. وجزاكم الله كل خير والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.